All right, morning, everybody. Papa J here from Papa J in the Garden. We're going to do one final tour of what we have here before Thanksgiving dinner. You know, we've been doing the Thanksgiving series. So let's take a quick look before we start harvesting everything out of here. Here in this bed is still the same stuff, just gotten a little bit larger. We have some spinach, some cilantro, some longevity spinach. There's actually some Okinawa spinach right over there behind, over there with that longevity spinach. Here, you notice I have one of my large bok choys that's went down. You know, I always say if you plant the right thing at the right time, you don't have any problem with pests. Well, after planting this bok choy, it got a bit hot. As you can see, it's not as happy as it was a week ago. Because of the heat, made it the wrong time. And, well, we have to go ahead and harvest it now or we won't get any of it. Here we have the parsley. We're gonna take some of that for our meal as well. And we finally got some starts here planted for my smoothies. Okay, over here in this bed normally have roots crops in it. So I decided to put some strawberry starts in here in this section over here. These turnip greens here, we're going to be taking these out today for tomorrow's meal. And if you look down in here, you can actually see that there's a few good roots down there. So that's gonna be pretty good. You know, I did not get to grow as much as I like. I would have liked to have grown, but we do have quite a bit here. Here in this bed, we still have the arugula. We'll have some more choys, even though this is a baby pak choy. It's the size of those full-size bok choys over there. Here we have the lettuce. Same lettuce we had here before. It's because of the heat, it started to bolt. Started going to seed. It's not a problem though. We're gonna take and let it go on the seed. Once it flowers, we're gonna go ahead and feed it to the chickens because our chicken loves flowers. Here we just have some more choy. And what I want to bring to your attention is in this bed here where we have this choy here, this choy was just set out about a week ago. That's the same little sprouts that were down here in the middle of the bed. And if you look right here, you still see that there's still some small sprouts of choys. These choys, the large choys here, were set out about 2 weeks ago, almost 3. And what I'm noticing is just from taking and setting those out in different positions, how much more they've grown compared to the other ones that are still clumped up and bunched together there. Just giving them the right conditions and everything changes. The other ones that are still small and still clumped up, they get the same amount of nutrition, they get the same amount of water. They just didn't have a space to do their best. They're still growing. They just did not grow the best that they could have grown. I don't mind that though, because as I harvest these other choys, these larger choys, which most of them will be coming out today, these will be coming out within the next week or so, 2 weeks at the most. I'll start planting those other ones out and we'll keep a constant flow of the choys. But what I need help with is right here. I need someone to tell me how to grow eggplants. Because if we look here, I have one medium-sized eggplant, but that's all I have on both plants is one medium-sized eggplant. Try to figure out what it is. I come by and I shake because the movement is what pollinates them. I do understand that. But what I don't understand is why I only get 1 to 2 eggplants per season. I never get a whole plant full of eggplants. I don't think it's a nutrition issue because if you look, we have the very start of a flower. We have a flower here that's even smaller than that, even more of a start. Here we have a full bloom flower. And as you see, I'm shaking it, trying to get pollination. Here we have a flower that's been spent. So I have every stage of flowering all the way up to where it should be another eggplant, but I'm not getting eggplants. So that's what makes me think it's not a nutritional issue. But what could it be? If you know, please hit me up down there in the comments and let me know. Because I can't figure out why I only get 1 to 2 eggplants per plant per year. All right, coming on over here to the mustard green patch. We will be harvesting these back. We won't be taking the whole plant out. We will be just cropping them back and taking plants off of there, taking the leaves off, giving the space to grow more. This is why I love the broadleaf mustard greens, the Florida broadleaf mustard greens. As large as these leaves are, and they are large in my hand, and it's still 2 to 3 times larger than my hand. They can get even bigger than this. They're still tender. These greens are very much still tender. I could tear a piece off and just eat it without cooking it, and it'd be just fine because they are that tender. Come on over to this bed here. We have a few peppers that we've added to this bed. Also, we've added more plants here. Well, as you can see, we have more choy set out. Right here, we actually have a few Brussels sprouts. Didn't put many of those in because Brussels sprouts is one of those crops that take a long time. And in these beds, I don't typically plant too many plants that take a long time. The Brussels sprouts are like 120 days. That's a long time to have this section of this bed tied up just for those 3 plants. But if you notice, what I did was I planted the choys in between the actual plants of the bed because the Brussels sprout is the actual plant of the bed right now. Here, this curly leaf kale is an actual plant, but between them, I planted the choys. Here we have collard greens, and we see between those 2 rows, there is another row of choy. And like I said, I do use a lot of choy when I start using it. Once I start making my smoothie, once this kale gets larger, the kale from the first bed that I just put in over there gets larger. That's what I mainly use, kale and choy, in my smoothies. Now I will be doing smoothies daily. Here in this bed, it almost looks like it's out of control, but it's not that bad. It's not as bad as it looks. This is where we had the squash planted in here just because we needed a place to put them. I'll probably be taking them out because it's staying pretty cool now. And these particular squash are more of a warm weather squash. We'll come back in 2 to 3 months and plant out plenty of squash. We'll be tired of squash before you know it. Here we have a couple rows of cabbages. I showed you these cabbages about a week or 2 ago, about 2 weeks ago. And my, have they grown. Actually, they're starting to put on some heads. There's a small head there. 2 different types of cabbages. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and we're going to take a quick look. If you look right down here, you see some holes and some greens right here. Those leaves are actually off of squash plant. See that we have a little powdery mildew. That's just fungus. We have a little powdery mildew on those as well. Now, the reason I come back to show you this is because if you look throughout my garden, you will see that there is things that the bugs have come and tried to eat. This one here has a little bit more. It's a smaller plant, so not quite as strong as this one. That's why only 1 leaf on this one is eaten, whereas multiple leaves on that one has been eaten. And that's, like I said, I always say, when you plant the right thing at the right time, you don't have a problem with pests. What happened with this stuff, these choys like the cooler weather. And with it being warmer over these last couple of weeks, that's why the pests are starting to try to take them out. But they still can't quite take them out. Here the cabbage is the same way. Now this particular hybrid cabbage is a softer leaf cabbage. It normally gets pests more than some of the other type of cabbage. Well, this cabbage here is a much denser, stronger leaf. But if you look, they started, excuse me, they started trying to take them out, but they couldn't. Now this cabbage here actually has some significant damage on it, but it's going to be okay now that it's cooling down more consistently. We'll crop that back, it'll grow on out and make a nice head of cabbage. Here in this row right here, these are the collard greens. I actually planted these out 2 to 3 weeks ago, and my have they grown. We go back and look at the video from like 3 videos ago, about 2 weeks, you'll see where these are really grown. We will be harvesting those collards for our Thanksgiving meal as well. And here we have a different type of collard green in this row here. Let's get the tool out the way. We have a different type of collard green in this row right here. But nevertheless, it's the same collard we had in this bed last year. It's a hybrid between a collard and a cabbage. I thought it was really enjoyable. I was happy to find them again. Here we have a couple more small peppers. And right here we have some more lettuce. Now, if you notice, this lettuce in this bed, it has a lot of sun on it at the moment, but this is the only time of the day that it gets the sun like this. So it's less likely to bolt than the other one in the other bed because of where it's planted at. Even though they're within 15 feet of each other, these will last a lot longer. Over here we have another little patch of spinach. It took a little bit of a beating to get started, but now it's actually starting to go and starting to grow. So we're happy about that. Along the edge there, I believe you should be able to see it. We have onions planted along the edge. Now over here in this bed, excuse me, it needs to be weeded out, but we have Swiss chard. We have just a regular white Swiss chard as well as the colorful Swiss chard. We just don't have the yellow. We have the red, the orange, and the green or white. We just don't have the yellow. Swiss chard, I like it both ways. I like it cooked as well as blended in my smoothies. Of course, you see all the extra growth here, where we just haven't been out here to weed it out yet. We also have a bunch of tomato starts. These are the ones I talked about a couple weeks ago. And mainly these are cherry tomatoes. So even with it being cold or getting cold, I still can grow these and still get tomatoes. Here we have a bunch more kales. And I believe those are kohlrabis, but I'm not positive in this tray here. A few more tomatoes. Now let's get over to pretty much what's the last of what we was working on for the Thanksgiving series. This is a failure as well as a success, because this is supposed to be the 3 sisters, corn, beans, and squash. Well, I don't know if I just planted the wrong type of corn, if the way I planted the corn just wasn't good enough. I don't really know what it was, but we do have some corn. They're small. They're small corns, but we do have corn. It's not going to be ready for tomorrow, even though this one here, you can actually feel the kernels on that corn there. It's not completely full. Oh yeah, actually it is. It's just a really small corn. So just because, I'll probably go ahead and take the ones that I can see and feel the kernels in and go ahead and replant this with something else. I am going to attempt to do this one again. I thought it was pretty interesting. I started late. It was just something that just popped in my mind, and I decided to try it, and I started late. Next season, next time I get where I can grow corn, which will be just here in a few months. Uh, we're going to try to do this one again and see if we have a little more success. That's why I say it was a failure and a success at the same time. We did get corn. We have the squash plants over in another bed. We just didn't plant the beans. But we did get corn. So I'm not complaining. All right, well, actually, that pretty much wraps up the tour for today. So I'm also going to come tomorrow or later today. I actually like harvesting my crops in the morning time. I'm actually going to come and do a whole bunch of harvesting. I'll probably bring you along to see what I take out and what we're going to have for our meal. Now, as far as the Thanksgiving series, I'm going to call it the same way. I'm going to call it a success as well as a failure. I didn't quite grow as many different types of crops that I would have liked to grow for the meal, but I did grow enough crops to have a harvest, and it's really going to add to our meal. Once again, it was just something we thought about doing at the last minute. We attempted to do it, and I'm not going to call it a failure at all. It was a success. It is a success. We do have something to come out here and harvest. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. I'm going to tell you to remember to take the time and grow something. Until next time.